Where are my Canadian Blue Jay fans? There's a couple here. It's good stuff. So it's really special to be here with you all. And I've just noticed I've been taking some really deep breaths, not because I'm speaking in front of 600 people that I am so awed of, but because there's something in the air here. There's something that we are sharing, and we are connected in this room, and I think it's something really special. So I'm really just enjoying sharing this space and breathing the same air with all of you. Now, I was really inspired by the question that was bringing us all here together today, which was, what are the bridges we must build? And I have to say, it made me immediately think of a story for me, which is my bucket list. These are the places I want to go, I want to see, I want to explore. I want to bring my kids to so they can see how extraordinary this planet is that we live on. And one of those items on my bucket list is to go and visit the living bridges that exist in India. There we go. So living bridges are these beautiful structures. They're beautiful, and they're made by taking the living roots and branches of trees while they're still alive and wrapping them and shaping them so that these roots and branches become intertwined with one another. And these bridges are so strong because they're naturally self-renewing. As the years go by, the bridge gets stronger and more resilient because those roots and those branches are growing bigger and becoming even more interconnected with one another. Now, like any bridge out there, it's designed to carry weights of people as they travel to go see friends, family, perhaps do some trading. And they also are designed to balance and carry the tension that comes along with those people that travel over them. Now, these bridges aren't designed with newfangled modern technology. Some of these bridges are 500 years old, and the special technique to do this sort of tree shaping, which is where you make these roots sort of connect with one another, is actually a skill that's passed down through the different generations. Now, I first learned about these living bridges with some research we were doing at Volans a few years ago for the Future Quotient. And Volans, as was introduced, is this think tank consultancy business I had the great pleasure of co-founding with an amazing thought leader in this space, John Elkington. He coined the phrase triple bottom line of people, planet, profit that I know all of us in this room sort of breathe very deeply in, as well as Pamela Hartigan, who's with the School Center at Oxford University. I should also say Volans, I'm very proud, was the second company to certify as a B Corporation in the UK. Now, what was interesting about this research we did was we really tried to understand where and how intergenerational value is created. So how are businesses, people, policymakers, investors thinking and acting with long-term horizons in mind? And our conclusion from doing this research was that actually we need to see a real change in the system. We need to see a breakthrough in capitalism. And it was while I was sort of in this mind space of thinking, what could a breakthrough in capitalism look like? What does that actually mean in practice? That I actually had a moment of just sheer clarity. And that clarity was triggered by a blog that I came across on the B Corporation website. And it was in this blog where it talked about two organizations finding each other, joining forces, a match made in heaven, Savvy Rest, a manufacturer of a product, developing a relationship with New Living, an organization that would sell that product, very much like the supply chain we just saw a few minutes ago. Because I actually do believe that trade is the root of capitalism. And what this represents is a commercial transaction that's happening efficiently. It's showing where organizations can connect with one another, intertwine themselves with one another, grow with one another. And they can skip sort of some of that diligence you would otherwise have to do because these organizations know they share the same values. They trust each other because they are part of this community. They're a part of the B Corporation community. And this to me is so special because this is a change in the terms by which trade is being done. This is a grassroots evolution and experience of where we're seeing capitalism actually evolve. And I'm thrilled because you know what? That's not the only example. We've been seeing so much more of it, and we've been talking a lot about this over the last few days. We've got new products being developed between beer companies and ice cream companies. How cool is that? We have supply chain relationships getting created between frozen food companies, where are my friends from Cook? Yeah, there they are, with handbag companies. Elvis and Cressy here. And this was a great email I just got last week from two of our founding UK B Corps, We're a services company. A company was looking for some services, so we put them in touch with one of our new B Corps. And the email I was very fortunate to get copied on, the client said, "Where have you been all my life?" So we know there's an appetite for this. We know there are people that want to build these relationships. This, to me, this is the seeds of change. These are the roots of that living bridge intertwining with one another. And we need to see more of this, because more of this will help us grow as B corporations, but more of this will also help us expand and build our movement. We need to expand this tribe. We got to go big. We got to go global, because we may as well go home. And I have to say, I'm still wearing the t-shirt. It's been almost 2.5 weeks. But this was the stage we had in the UK a few weeks ago, where we celebrated 62 founding UK B corporations. And one of our messages as we were getting this movement up and going in the UK was that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Because we knew in the UK, and we know in the UK, there is an incredibly rich and vibrant environment and history of social enterprise and impact investing. We also have learned so much from our global partners, who I see here with us today. They shared so much with us. We know this movement is already global. We've seen this map a few times already. 40+% of B corporations today exist outside of the US, and that number is growing. Now, we know there's also a huge opportunity for more. If there are 35 million businesses in the world, imagine if we got just 1% of them to join us in this movement. Imagine the potential for trade, for building growth with one another. Now, I think there's also a ton of places that are ripe for this. Family businesses, which some argue are 2/3 of all business in the world, these are companies where this intergenerational value creation is already deeply embedded in the DNA. And let's talk about the emerging economies. Countries that are on the front line of some of the most serious challenges facing our planet. Imagine if we could work with businesses, helping them solve some of those problems, using the ingenuity and the innovation that is a hallmark and that is a signature of our B Corporation movement. Now, just like the Living Bridge, as we grow and as we bring new weight on to this bridge that we are building, we have to be mindful that there are new tensions we need to balance. So, for example, a local relevancy, a local culture, a local history needs to be balanced with what we want to develop universally as our global movement. We know that that's going to mean we have to be open to new languages. We need to find ways of weaving new stories into this bridge. And we need to understand and respect the histories and the cultures of the regions in which we want to build and join us. But I say bring it on. Because when we get B-Lab Asia and when we get B-Lab Africa coming and joining this party, we are going to raise the roof off this building. You! Now, it's hard to talk about going global without representing the really important role that multinational corporations play here. And I have to admit, this is sort of a topic near and dear to my heart, having spent a lot of time working with companies like HP, like Nike just down the street, and most recently with Grant Thornton. Again, there's a huge opportunity here. 37 of the world's 100 largest economies in the world are corporations. And just to put that in perspective, if Apple were a country, it would be the 55th richest on the planet. Now, I think this is really important for us, because I think if what we want to do is grow a movement, get more and more opportunities for trade, then these represent important partners for us to join our Living Bridge. We can work with their procurement teams, their supply chains, but they can also help us change the rules of the game. They adopt our tools, they adopt our processes, and all of a sudden, we really will see a shift in capitalism as they measure what matters. Now, we are really in a lucky time to be living, because these big corporations right now, they are waking up to the idea that they can reject this traditional binary notion of having profit on one side and purpose on the other. And leaders have already set that pace for us in this movement. We have Natura, we have Kickstarter, we have Etsy, we have big companies that have already become part of this movement with us. And we have leaders like the CEO of Unilever, Paul Pullman, committing to join this newly formed multinational and public markets advisory council. These are exciting times for us. But just like the Living Bridge, and just like with our geographic expansion, we have to be aware of the tensions as we grow. Because working with big companies, I can tell you from experience, isn't necessarily always easy. They are complex. They have their own languages and their own cultures and their incentives that we need to be mindful of. But I say this provides such an incredible opportunity for us. As long as we keep the integrity of what we stand for in place, we do not let it get diluted. That is a non-negotiable in how we expand going forward. But I have to say, I'm not afraid of holding that tension. I actually think by being aware of it, recognizing its presence, it will actually make us stronger as we grow, as we build out our living bridges. And as we grow, we just need to be clear that we are the ones that keep ourselves strong. We are the leaders, and we set the pace for these companies to join us in building this living bridge. See, even my kids wear the B Corporation gear. Because why is this really important? Yes, there's a business imperative to this. We know that. But for me, there's also a parental imperative. Because in 2050, when there's 9.6 billion people living on this planet, my kids are going to be the same age that I am right now. And I don't feel particularly old. So what for me this means is that the world that they inherit is going to be very different. I respect that, and I know that that's true. But I am so hopeful, I am deeply hopeful that that world that they inherit is actually going to be a better world because of the B corporations that are in the room here today and the ones that are going to be in the room in the future. We are collectively going to build a world that is going to be so fantastic. Now, kids have been a real inspiration for our work at B Lab UK, and so I wanted to share with you a little video that we used at our launch a few weeks ago. Now, I have to say, these are not child actors. They have not been scripted, and if they look a little bit like those of us on the B Lab UK team, it's actually because they're our children.
I think that a businessman's job is to make money.
Money means paying. Paying is when you want to buy things.
If you don't have money, you won't be able to buy anything from the shop. Because money doesn't grow on trees. I think millionaires have a bit too much money. Because they don't need anything.
If I had £1 million, I would probably spend half of it to get like a nice home and things, and then the other half give it to charities. I'll buy a big pumpkin.
I would change all of the poverty so that there was no more poverty and there was no more living on the streets.
Work is people who work on computers.
If you don't enjoy your job, you're really unhappy for most of your life, and that's not nice.
I want to be a racing car man. I want to be a hairdresser because I like hair. I want to be an animal tamer because I like being around animals and they're really fun.
When I'm older, I'd like to be a company owner because they're in charge. I think business is a good thing because you help other people sometimes in the business.
I'm so proud, because that's my son who wants to be the hairdresser. It makes me so proud. The bottom line, and perhaps more appropriate for this audience, the triple bottom line, is that change is coming. And coming back to this living bridge, I'd invite all of you to think of yourselves as a root, as a branch, twisting yourselves and joining together to create these living bridges today. Trade with one another, become strong with one another. Really enjoy working with each other and bringing more people into this movement. And don't be afraid of the tension. It will come. We just need to have the wisdom to recognize it and hold it. So I say we build this living bridge. We build it with partners around the world, with big companies and with small companies. We build it for our children, and we build it for our children's children and for the generations to come. I say we be hopeful, and we should be joyful, and we should be this bridge, and we should be the change. Thank you very much.